Hi, this is John Jorgensen with another video from John on Tech. And in our last video, we talked about application exposes a monolithic application architecture versus a microservices application architecture. And we ended up with the following slide showing how the customer services, product services, and cart services microservices components were arranged in this microservices framework. So now we're going to take that view and we're going to take it one step further. And now we're going to create a real application based on microservices. And this is our implementation that we are going to use going forward. So here we see now we have replaced our pretend services with now real services that we're going to use going forward. And we have put those in that gray box here. And we are going to be creating an online recipe application. So this is going to be an application where users are going to be able to log on and swap recipes and look up recipes online inside an application framework. So with this application, they are first going to be registering themselves, and for that they're going to be using the registration service. Then they are going to be using the chat interface to talk to each other and swap recipes and look up recipes, etc. And also the recipe service is going to be part of this application structure, and the recipe service is going to be the one that is going to contain most of the logic that has to do with managing the various recipes. So going also to the next step here, we have the following view. So now we have created a online recipe application with components that are going to be user interfacing as well as database interfacing. So we have split up the UI from the original user interface for chatting to two different interfaces. One is going to be one for registration, and the other is going to be the one for chatting. So we see the registration service will pass control on to the registration, so the UI registration service, which then will have the user interface that users will interact with, click buttons on, look at views, etc. That when they input data for their registration, for setting up their login to the application, they will then depend on the backend services provided by the registration service. The registration service in turn will then talk to a database, and this database will store information, and also this information will be retrieved back when they log in, etc. So after registering with the application and having used the UI registration service, the user is then ready for the next experience in this architecture, and that is then being performed and hosted in the UI chat service. UI chat service similarly then will call on a backend service component, which is then the recipe service. And the recipe service will similarly then look up recipes in the application database and also store recipes into the application database when the user decides to do so. So this is a few of the services that are going to be part of this application structure, and more will be developed as we need it. But this is going to be the starting point of the application when we develop it. So in the next video, we are going to go in and so as you also mentioned that the backend services will be developed with Python for the most part, and we will also go in and look at the individual components inside the Python pieces. So the one that is most concrete at this point is the registration service, and that is the first one we're going to start implementing in Python. And we will go through each of these components in various videos and tie them together and show how the entire application is being developed, including the UI side, as well as the backend service, as well as how we are going to be set up tables, etc., and provide access into the application database. And the next video now will go into more detail of what is what's inside the registration service. So we will start looking at code, and we will start to look at the different layers that the registration service Python code will have. So thank you very much, and please subscribe. Please click like if you like this video, and share, and we'll see you in the next video.